loops are used when you want some code to be executed multiple times in Java and in all other programming languages. And the best way to see it is just to go inside of our IntelliJ and start coding. So for example, we want to create some countdown timer or something like, let's say, I don't know, timer for 10 seconds or 10 something, some units of time. And we want to print out like 10, 9, 8, 0, and so on. The way to do that, let's first check out the while loop. There's a couple of loops that we're going to cover. One of them is while and for, and there's another version of while that we'll see later. So while, let's say, and now we need to provide some condition here. So this is how it looks. Basically similar to if, but it checks condition after every time. If only runs once, if you remember. So if we say if timer is greater than 10, they'll just, or greater than 5 or something like that, they'll just get executed once. But we want this code to be executed a couple of times, and it's going to check this condition that we write here every time. So while timer is greater than 0, for example, we're going to do something. What are we going to do? We'll simply going to print out the timer's value. And what else do we need to do? Well, now it says here condition is always true. That means that we have forgotten to change the condition. Something needs to change in order for this to exit at some point. So we need to decrease timer, which we can do using this decrement operator, which is basically the same as saying timer equals timer minus 1. Okay, so now if we run this, and here it is. I mean, let me just scroll this up a little bit so you can see the whole output. It's 10, 9, 0, goes up to 1 and then stops. Okay, let me just move these things a little bit so that I can see this. Okay, so we could have also used print if you wanted to print in one line and so on. So this is the basic body of the while loop. Let's now try to create, for example, a program, a little simple program. I don't know, let's call it like saving for a car, something like that. Let's create a scanner because we want some input from the user, and system.in. Okay, and now we're gonna get rid of this, and let's create some variable called, I don't know, Boolean has enough money. Let's call it has enough money. It's false at the beginning because we're starting with 0 money. Let's do something like int or double. It doesn't really matter, but let's just do int for now. Let's just do int money. We're starting from 0. And what are we doing? We're basically earning money and adding onto money variable. And once we have enough, we will just print out you bought a car or something like that. So basically, while what? While we do not have enough money. So this is a usage of negation operator. While not enough money, we're going to do something. So what are we going to do? We're going to get some input from the user. So we're going to say int earnings or something like that. Let's say int earnings equals scanner.nextInt. And now let's print out a message. You earned plus earnings. And now let's print out the total. So let's first calculate the total. Total is going to be money is equal to earnings. I mean, plus equal. We're going to add earnings onto our current money. Okay. So this is how much money we have. And we're going to print that out. We're going to say something like you have, I don't know, plus money. And now let's say our car costs like, I don't know, 10,000 euros or something like that. So let's check the condition. So let's say if money is greater or equal to 10,000, okay, that's how much we want to save up. We're going to say has enough money equals true, right? And we also want to, in that case, print out something else to the screen. We want to print out, yay, you bought a car or something like that. Okay, so this is the basic premise. So you need to have some condition, and somewhere inside of the while loop, that condition needs to, become true. I mean, or false in this case, because we have a negation. So let's just run this and check out how this program works. And it'll loop through as long as we don't have enough money, right? So not has enough money, as long as this is fulfilled, it will run. So as long as has enough money is false, it's running. So as soon as we set it to true, negation of a true is false, so it will no longer run. It will say, okay, that's it, I'm out. So as I said once before, in order to make your program really nice, you might want to say something like enter your earning, because now it just doesn't say anything. Enter your earnings, and let's kill this and run again. Okay, enter your earnings 50. You earned 50, you have 50. Enter your earnings 500. Now we have 550. Okay, let's earn another 820. Okay, and now let's earn a bunch. And it says we have not, yeah, we still don't have enough. Let's earn another 628 or something that's enough. Actually, my God, let me just do something that's enough. Okay, yeah, you bought a car and it terminates and that's it. Okay, so is it clear to you guys how the while loop works? If you can just confirm in chat that, or just ask any questions now if you have any about this simple program. Okay, nobody's asking anything. I'm going to assume that this is clear. Okay, so now let's do, yeah, okay, let's go through it once more. The basic thing is here we have a condition that when it becomes false, it will no longer run. So as long as our condition is fulfilled, the loop will run through the whole code that's inside of these curlies, right? And once it runs once, okay, we have made some modification or didn't, it checks the condition again. If the condition is still true, it will run again, and it'll do that to infinity, basically. Or no, in our case, it'll terminate at some point, but you can also make a mistake and create an infinite loop, you know. I'll show you that later. But the thing is, we have some condition here. We can also revert the condition. Let me show you this. Let's say Boolean bought a car. No, that's a bad name because it's the same. Like we can say is broke, you know. Let's say is broke is true, because at the beginning you're broke, you have 0, right? So now instead of has enough money, let's do while is broke, and broke will become false once we actually have enough money. Okay, now let's just revert this. It's basically completely opposite. Now when we have enough money, we will say is broke is no longer true, right? So at this point we're reading from the console, like we're asking the user how much did you earn. He earns one sum, and then we add that onto his total money. Then he earns some more and more and more, and once he has enough money, we each time check whether his sum of money has reached some, I don't know, let's say 10,000. We could have also read this from the console. We could have asked the user what car do you want to buy and how much does it cost, you know. Let's do that as well. Let's do now, where's my scanner? Scanner is here, so yeah, I can do that here. Let's say int car cost equals scanner.nextInt. Let's also print out a message for the user saying how much does your car cost. Now let's not compare to 10,000, but rather to car cost. Okay, so let's examine this again. What are we doing? Well, we're saying that we're broke at the start. We don't have any money. We set it at 0. We ask the user to input how much money he's looking to spend on his car. This is his car cost, okay? And now we say, as long as you're broke, or we can call it don't have enough money, or we can call the variable anything you want. Or we can also use the other logic, okay? We can use the opposite logic as well. Has enough money is false, or doesn't have enough money is true. I mean, it's all just whatever makes more sense to you. It's fine to use either way, you know. We can also go back to not has enough money. That just makes more sense to me. has enough money would be true when he gets enough money. Okay. And let me just reiterate this. This is basically the same as saying money equals money plus earnings. Yeah, so this is the same. This is just a shorthand version of writing this, similar to decrement and increment operators like a plus plus is the same as saying a equals a plus 1. You know, this is the same as this, and this is the same as saying money plus equals earnings. Let me just get rid of this operator for now, if it's confusing. Money plus earnings. Okay, and I'll get rid of this comment as well. Okay, so now let's go line by line. We have gotten the car cost from the person. Okay, we know how much money we want to earn, while not has enough money. So not has enough money will be true, right? Because not enough money is false. So basically a negation of that is true. This will have a value of true at the start. So it will go inside of the loop and it will just, you know, run the loop multiple times. So what happens in the loop? We ask the user to give us how much to tell us how much he has earned. He gives us some number and we add that number onto his money, right? And now we just print out how many he has. We can even ignore this earning, you know. Yeah, that's an example that that I could have also started with. Yeah. Let's for now comment all of this out and let's do the simplest while loop. Let's do int a equals 0, and while a is less than 10, we can say a equals a plus 1, s out a, and this is your simplest loop. You know, we're doing something to the a variable, so at some point it will become actually 10 or greater than 10, and this will terminate. So again, if we run this, he'll just print out the numbers from 1 to 10. Okay. What do we do if we, for example, wanted to calculate the sum of first 10 numbers? Well, we need some variable to loop through the numbers, and we need some variable for the sum. Let's call it sum. And now let's say sum plus equals a. That's our number. Or let's change the name of a to be number. I'll show you the shortcut at some point again for changing the name of everything. Okay, so our number is looping from 0 to, we can even start at 1 because 0 doesn't affect the sum, right? As long as it's less than 10, it will just loop through the loop, increasing the number by 1 each time and adding the number onto our sum. Sum starts at 0, and we don't need to print out the number here. And let's print out the sum. And let's run this. Yeah, Ruben, I'll go over variable visibility immediately after this. So what happened here? Why did it print out the sum every time? Well, because we put it inside of the curlies. If we wanted to print out how to turn on, you cannot turn on the voice. I'm the only one who can talk, but you can comment, and I'll try to answer your comment. Okay, so we don't need to print out the sum every time, right? So let's just move this out of the while loop. So this is basically the block that gets executed every time. We don't need to print out the sum after every step, right? Because it's 2 at the start, and then it's 5, and then it's, you know, why is it 2 at the start even? That doesn't make sense. Shouldn't be 1 at the start, right? The thing is, we're increasing the number first. So it starts at 1, and then we increase it to 2, and then we add it. So we even discovered a bug using this. So let's swap out these 2 lines, because it first needs to add the number to the sum and then increase it, right? It does matter, because the first sum should have been 1, because it's just the sum of number 1, right? So let's run this again, see what we get. 45. Okay, let's do some other sum, just so it's easier to see that our program is not really calculating the sum up to 3, because it doesn't include 3. So the sum, we want to, for example, calculate the sum of first n numbers, where n is going to be some number that we provide. So first 3 numbers should be basically 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is 6, and it prints out 3. we can fix this in two ways. We can basically say while less than 4, which is not a really nice way because the 3 is our input number. So let's just do less than or equals here. And now if we run this, it will just print out 6, because the last time that it increases to 3, it'll still fulfill the condition. 3 is less than or equal to 3. That's correct, because 3 is equal to 3. So it'll run one more time, and it will add 3 onto our sum. Number will get increased to 4. And once it goes to 4, 4 is no longer fulfilling the condition. So 4 is not less than or equal to 3. So then it will not run this again. And that's it. Sum will remain like that. Okay. And a little digression about variable visibility. Variables are visible in the scope in which they've been created. And what's a scope? Scope is basically your set of open and closed curly braces. So if I create a variable here, I don't know, in something equals 5, I cannot use it here. It doesn't even, IntelliJ is complaining. It doesn't even offer me autocomplete. And when it doesn't offer you autocomplete, you know something's wrong. So as you can see, if I start typing number, it's just like, fine, I'll print out a number, that's fine. But for something, it's saying something. It doesn't know what something is, it's out of scope. It basically lives from this curly to this curly. So we cannot use it outside. And number, we can use it inside the curlies because it's in outer scope. So basically number is visible inside of these curlies, in this whole block of code, because it's declared in that place, right? Of course, it's not usable before being declared. We cannot do something like this. If we swap out these two lines, it's fine. Of course, you have to declare it before using it. But here, something is declared before being used, but it's already dead. It's not visible. It's out of its scope. It's only visible within this scope. We could have had even an inner scope. If I don't know, number greater than 5, whatever, int j or int b equals 5. Now this b is not visible even in here. We cannot print it out here. It's not visible here either. It's not visible anywhere other than this little scope here. Okay, I hope that answers the question about the variable scope. Okay. Let me just check with you guys, how are you doing with loops? Is this example clear about the loops, about calculating the sum of first n numbers? Okay, so now let's move on to another example. I'll comment this out because you guys wanna later have the code. So let me just go back to my more complex example that I jumped to too quickly, probably. Okay, so let's get rid of everything that we don't need. Okay, so let me reiterate this. So we're starting out with no money and our Boolean variable is false. It's called has enough money and it's false. We don't have enough money for anything at the start. So we get the car cost from the user. The user inputs some number. And now we're saying, run through this loop. So basically go do some work over and over again. Do like 5 jobs or whatever, get 10 salaries. And once you have enough money, you can go out and buy a car. So as long as this condition is fulfilled, so as basically it's saying, as long as this is true, as long as whatever is in here evaluates to true, and this does evaluate to true at the start because it's false and we're negating it, so it's true. So as long as, basically it's like a sentence in English, while not enough money, right? While not enough money, go work, right? So what happens in go work part? Well, this is what happens. You just ask the user to tell you how much he has earned on some job. We read that value. This is his earnings on the job. We add that onto his total money. We print out, we don't have to print this out even, but it's just for our sake, just so we know how much money we have. We print out how much money we have. And at the end of each loop, this is really important. We have to check. If we don't have this check, we're just doing this to infinity. He can earn millions and still it would never exit the loop. we have to check whether the money that we just added something onto, whether that money has become bigger than the car cost. If it has become bigger, we're saying, oh, now you have enough money, which will next time when it checks, because it runs this block and then checks for condition, then runs the block again if it goes inside, and then checks for the condition again. Once the condition has become false, so basically when we have enough money, not has enough money will become false, right? Because has enough money is true. Once we negate it, it's just false. So once we earn enough money, we basically go out and we no longer execute any of this code. Okay, so let's run this now and hopefully, okay, let's say car costs, I don't know, 500, enter your earnings. Let's do, we earned way too much. And it runs just once. The loop ran literally just once. Let's run again. And now buy a more expensive car. We earned 100, then 200, then 500, then 400, then minus 200 because we had to pay for something, then another minus 500. And you can see it just loops and loops and loops, and it'll loop for eternity basically if we don't earn enough money. So let's just win a lottery or something. And yeah, now it added that 7,000 to the 500 you already had, and you have 7.5 thousand and you bought a car. Why did it say that? Well, because car cost was 5,000 as we input at the start. And once the condition is fulfilled, it'll just say, you know, this. What's another way of doing this? We don't even need this variable, has enough money, right? We could have done without it, but it's just nicer. I mean, it's not saving too much space to use an extra variable. It's just more readable, but we could have said, well, while money is less than car cost, and that would literally be the same code. And now we don't even need this. This is even simpler to write, but it may be slightly less readable, you know. And now at the end here, we can say, yeah, you bought a car. Car bought. Okay. Do you guys understand how this is literally the same as the last thing? Because now we're just, instead of having a variable and changing that variable in some if statement, we can just simply check what's money and car cost, what's their relation every time, right? Because we're still increasing money, car costs stay the same. So if we run this now, how much does your car cost? Well, it costs like 100 euros, enter earnings 5, 10, 20, and another 84. And it says you have 190 car bought. Okay.